Welcome everyone to our webinar on Platform BPO, Hype, Holy Grail, or the New Normal. I am Ujjwal from Aspire Systems and I will be your host for today's session. As you all know, the focus of BPO industry has moved from cost arbitrage to value creation, and service providers need to be better aligned to provide added value to their customers. Among these value-added services, platform-based services is an innovative business model exciting the industry recently. Today, we will be focusing on these platform-based solutions to understand what it takes for the BPO companies to begin this new transformation journey. Does this make sense for every other BPO company? Are the customers ready for it? And above all, is this platform-based offering just a hype or holy grail for the BPOs? To discuss this, we have Shankar Balasubramaniam, Vice President Technology from Secova eServices. Secova is a benefits management company focused on HR outsourcing services through its health and welfare benefits offerings. They process more than 60 million eligibility records, $700 million in healthcare premiums, and manage over 450 vendor or carrier relationships annually on behalf of its clients. Shankar will be talking about the Secova services model, the challenges they were facing, and how their new NXG platform addresses them and brings business benefits. We also have Janaki Jayachandran, Practice Management Head for BPO Platform Solutions from Aspire Systems. Aspire Systems is an IT services company working with over 100+ ISVs and enterprises across the globe, providing software development and IT services. Our centers of excellence are SaaS or cloud solutions, mobility, and test automation. Janaki will be talking about the current challenges in BPO, how platform can help overcome these challenges, the building blocks of the platform, and a sample business case explaining the ROI in platform BPO. So now I'll have Janaki take over.
Thank you, Ujjwal. So for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to be talking about the concept of platform BPO itself. What does it mean, and why should we even be thinking about a concept of platform BPO, and how is it going to be making a business benefit for the BPO segment? So we'll look through these in the next 20 minutes or so. To start with, a quick overview of how the BPO industry has been evolving over the period of time. And if you look at, it started off with probably just the people and the process part alone, right? Where the BPO vendors, BPO companies offered people and probably a set of processes which were kind of used to manage the services. And in this scenario, the systems or the technology platforms or applications were mainly being developed and provided by the companies, by the enterprises. And the BPO companies were merely using those applications to deliver their services. And as we kind of evolved over this model, the transformation was in such a way that the BPO companies started maintaining the applications, and it was more of putting together the application in place, but then the maintenance of it is taken care by the BPO itself. And then as a next step, it went to a direction where the BPO started developing their own applications and slowly going up the value chain. That way the enterprises need not worry about putting together the system. Rather, it's about putting together the people, process, and the application required to service them. Now, we have now reached an interesting spot in this evolution where the situation has come down to people, process, and instead of application, we are talking about a platform. And the term we are using here is the platform BPO or BPO platform, where the platform provides a mechanism for the BPOs to be able to service more than one customer using the same set of technology stack. So we'll further get into how this is kind of possible, and what were the challenges in the previous model? So a quick view of what kind of a challenge they had in the traditional BPO model. So if you could look at, typically they build applications, maybe one or a suite of applications for each of the service lines, and there is an implementation team which kind of puts together or customizes the application according to a particular customer's requirement, and then they give it back to the users, and the users start using it. So as you could see, this model quickly gets into a situation where you start having numerous applications, because each customer may pick one or two service lines, and you end up creating customized applications for each of the service line being picked by the customer. And as you could imagine, the number of application growth is going to be rapid, and on top of it, you will end up having users, which is the agents within the BPOs itself, who are used to working for one particular customer. So in this case, customer A, there are a set of applications developed for customer A, which means the users using those applications are used to only that particular application. And tomorrow, if we have to cross-use them for other customers or kind of repurpose them, it becomes a bit of challenge. Of course, there is an additional training, additional time required to do that. So to summarize the challenges in this traditional model, so one, it's very clear that the long implementation cycles are one of the biggest challenges, because the time taken to customize the application to meet the exact specific needs of a customer is obviously going to take time. And as we saw, the uncontrolled breeding of applications is going to happen. And as you could imagine, with the growth in customer and over a period of time, and these two attributes growing up, it's going to lead to a situation which is going to become almost impractical to manage. And on top of it, this is going to also need more cost. And the other biggest challenges is when you want to do enhancements on your services. So you have a service line, you would like to add a couple more enhancements to it. Now what you have ended up with is, you have so many application versions of the same thing. So adding an enhancement is going to be a huge task, because you cannot take it uniformly to across all the customers, because your applications are duplicated almost. So you either have to end up replicating that enhancement across each of those duplicated versions, or you might have to ignore your current customers and just focus on the new ones. In both the cases, it's not going to be a benefit for the business. And the same holds good when you want to apply some consistency of standards across the applications. And it's quite possible that many of these applications end up being built in different technologies, because there could be different people at different points in time. So some could have picked up, say, .NET, and they would have built an application. Some could have probably picked Java, and they would have picked up and they would have developed some applications. So you probably also might end up with diversified technology stacks, which makes it difficult to scale up or to bring these consistencies in place. And all this ends up being heavily dependent on your IT team, because you continuously will have to get their support to operate in this model. So why these challenges are happening, if we have to look at some of the root causes, the major root causes, of course, there is a lack of focus on the application engineering itself, because as we all know, time is becoming more precious, and in fact getting more priority than the cost itself. So given that time pressure and the kind of the focus being on the application engineering aspect, many a times the IT team or the teams that are putting together these applications focus more on the functionality part of it rather than the design of the solution itself. And in the process, they end up reinventing the same thing. If you look at the same functionality, it might be replicated in all the 4 applications. It could be a simple logging functionality, a simple security aspect. So each team kind of does it in the same fashion, but then not being aware that it's already there, and hence kind of reinventing the same wheel. And developers, they have their own problems. They need support. They need architectural and design level decision making support, that all through the course of it. That way they are able to put together the right solution. So what is Platform BPO going to be different, and how is it going to be solving this particular challenge? The BPO platform in a nutshell can be considered as a black box which can offer you all the basic attributes that are required to put together an application. So what you do is you build or focus mainly on the application functionality, and you build it as silos on top of the existing BPO platform, whatever platform that you have built for yourself. So this makes it a different business case altogether, because now you have a single platform which offers you different kind of applications, and more importantly, each of these applications can be designed in a fashion that you could offer different varying set of services, varying set of functionality to the customers. And this typically is achieved through what we call as the customization through configuration option. So earlier when we say customization, it's mostly going into the code, changing it, adding screens and so on. But then a newer approach to that is to approach it more from a configuration perspective, where you are bringing the capability within your platform to be able to configure things in such a fashion that you can achieve the customization by just doing the right set of configuration. And what that means is the implementation team is no more going to be sitting and changing the code. Rather, they're going to be using these settings to be able to tweak things in a fashion that the customer's requirements are being able to be achieved. And you will also notice that the application users, the agents, are now common across the application or the service line itself. They are no more specific to one particular customer, which means you have a bigger pool of resources to be able to move around, to be able to share and be able to repurpose in a much more easier fashion. So this is exactly how the BPO platform changes the equation. We will get into more details about what the BPO platform itself contains in it and how it is even possible to do that. But before that, let's try to understand what kind of expectations should one have on a platform BPO. Given the challenges we saw earlier, and given the expectations or the root causes we saw earlier, we can probably list down some of the common attributes one can think of when they want to build or put together their own platform in place. And please bear in mind that this is not a universal global list or a standard specific fixed list. Now the items displayed here are more from a generic or some of the common attributes, but then for each of your scenarios, for each of your particular case, you might probably want to add or remove some of the items from this particular list, right? So to look at some of the key things, like you would like to have a predefined architecture in place which could allow you to build applications in a better and faster way. Of course, who doesn't want things to be done in a faster way? So one of the key attributes is to have the architecture, a solid architecture in place which can be used to be able to deliver things in a much faster way. And along with that is the kind of support from a technology perspective. As we saw, you would still want the application, the platform to be able to work with different technologies. So to that extent, it might have to integrate with some of your existing systems, or could be the systems used by your own customers. So there should be a global support for the technologies, and as well as the flexibility, which as we saw, you might be ending up with different kind of customers asking for different kind of things. So your platform should be able to be flexible enough to allow you to build those technical solutions without getting into too much of a re-engineering or re-architecturing. And the other, some of the business aspects could be availability of skill sets and resources to work on the BPO itself, on the platform itself. Because one of the things that could be considered for this platform could be a PaaS solution, right? Platform as a service could be one of the options that could be thought of, for example, force.com or longjump.com. But then what happens in these cases is these are very specific, vendor-specific technologies, vendor-specific languages, syntaxes. So availability of the skill sets against these technologies may not be that widely available. So this is more from a business perspective that you might want to think. So I want something which is standard, which I can use tomorrow using any of my resources, which I can go to market and be able to easily get the skill set. That could be one of the aspects you might want to consider. And more importantly, uniformity. Uniformity in the way the applications are built and managed. As we saw, reinventing the same wheel again and again, and doing things just once is possible only when you have certain level of uniformity across these applications. So the platform should be able to bring in and tie up things together. That way, when developers build the applications, they don't have much choice. They have to build it in one way, and which is dictated by the platform. And the result of it will be the maintenance down the line. It becomes a lot more easier. And from a support perspective, of course, the entire solutions today have been moved to web, and in fact being moved to cloud as well. So you would probably want your platform to be able to support all sorts of web technologies, as well as be flexible enough for cloud-based deployment solutions. Like it could be a public cloud or it could be a private cloud. And in some cases, if required, it has to operate on an on-premise model as well. So there should be support for a mixed set of deployment models. And one of the key important things is the support for multi-tenancy itself. So as we saw in the earlier slide, we talked about applications having the capability to be able to respond differently to different customers. That is possible only through the multi-tenancy capability, which is more of an architectural design through which you can apply settings, you can apply the configuration at a tenant level. Tenant here referred as the customer. So each customer has a set of settings, and your application and platform recognizes those settings and exhibit the desired functionalities according to the settings. So that's what we call as a multi-tenancy. So that becomes one of the key attributes or expectations on the platform BPO. And finally, the tools that can help expedite the development effort, that can improve the productivity of developers. For example, you already have a set of applications, a set of screens in each application. That tomorrow you would like to add a couple more screens to capture some additional information. Now, how quickly can this be done? Now in a traditional model, it goes back to the development process, it goes through the testing process and comes back. But then is there a way where I can dynamically add forms without even going back to the development team, without even going back to the whole development process? That is possible using a platform BPO. So the whole point, if you look at, is about not being relying on the IT team, but also being more productive here and being able to respond in a much more faster manner to changing business requirements. So to summarize the benefits, of course, the standardization of the process is one of the biggest benefits one would get, because you don't have to keep thinking about 4 different versions of your same application and then trying to retain that knowledge with the people and being able to respond is of course going to be a larger challenge down the line. So the standardization of process becomes one of the biggest advantages, and it internally brings in the cost savings. It internally helps you bring better customer satisfaction, being able to respond much more faster. So it has a lot of internal advantages within it, and of course helps you scale from a scalability perspective, provides you a good platform to scale up quickly. And the other aspect could be the greater control you will have when you have such kind of a platform. So tomorrow when you decide to change a particular business process, you don't have to keep doing it in multiple copies or versions. Instead, you change it in one particular place, and that's going to be reflected across to everyone. So that makes things much more simpler, and you will have a complete transparency from an end-to-end perspective as well. And more importantly, the presence of a platform BPO definitely, as you could see from the first slide we saw, takes one to the next value chain, right? So your customers start seeing the platform BPO as a much more value-added solution rather than just the people and the process part. But the platform also going to be making a lot of value. And the other important aspect is which a lot of BPOs have started doing is a transaction-based pricing model. And this is typically used, this term is typically used in SaaS models where the software is kind of charged based on the usage. So the similar kind of scenario is also now being followed where the BPO companies charge their customers based on the processing they are doing. So if you process 100 records, then you pay for those 100 records alone instead of paying for 10 resources fixed cost for all the entire duration. Now the entire business model can be changed to a model where you charge only for the work that you're doing. Now this gives a lot of cost advantage for the customers and also brings the BPO companies into a much more competitive edge compared to the rest of the group. Now to support this kind of a model, again your platform should be able to have the features, should be able to provide this kind of a tracking through which you can exactly know how much transaction you have done, and based on that you can generate your costing. And the other benefits could be from the deployment perspective. It is much more quicker to roll out, as we saw. The implementation is done mostly through the configuration part, so it's much more easier, and when you are doing it in a short period of time, of course your cost is also going to come down. And the technology always has been used to replace the increasing salaries, which is also one of the advantages one would expect out of this platform. So just to give you an idea of what is this platform BPO containing, I said it's a black box, but let's try to get a little more insight into what does it contain in it, right? So there are three major portions that a typical platform BPO contains. Now again, this is more from a generic solution perspective. This may or may not be directly applicable. Now, one from a technology perspective, you could have .NET, you could build this in Java. So as an example, we have given .NET over there, but there is no specific requirement on the technology here. You could build the same platform BPO using any technology of your own choice. But the key thing is it has three components. One, the plumbing stack, what we call as the basic plumbing utilities, the plumbing layer, for example, exception handling, the logging, auditing. Now, all these plumbing layer, if you look at, is required for any application. And hence, the point is not to repeat in every application. Instead, have it in this platform layer and have the applications consume this particular stack. The same holds good for the engineering stack as well. However, at the engineering level, you start applying the multi-tenancy aspect and also trying to bring the configurability and customizability aspect, and have a set of engineering components. For example, it could be your own custom query builder, or it could be your own configurable UI. Like in the previous case, we talked about an example where you may want to add 2 forms to an existing application, and you want to do it without the support of an IT team. Now that is possible using this configurable UI module within the stack. So it gives you the provision to be able to dynamically add fields to existing screens, dynamically add forms to an existing application, and all this at runtime without any downtime, and it could be rolled out in a much faster pace. So that's an example of an engineering stack. And then you have a set of operational related components, like we saw in the example of the ability to be able to track the usage. That way you can do a transaction-based pricing model. Now that is possible using the licensing and metering services component, where the metering services component allows you to track the usage on any aspect. It could be based on number of transactions, it could be based on number of users you are processing, the value of the transactions you are processing. So you could use the metering services to measure it on any particular aspect within the application. And tenant provisioning is another example where it allows you to create tenants. Tenants in this case are customers. So you could quickly roll out customers, you could set their licensing terms, and then set their configuration using configuration services, set their role access permissions using security services, and set the system level settings. And all this helps you to operate more efficiently from an operational perspective. So further dwelling into some of these components, just to give you an idea, as we discussed, the multi-tenancy itself, if you look at, you could have varying degrees of multi-tenancy. It could be you may want to have the data of the customers stored in different databases, that is still possible, or you may want to have everything in the same database, that is again possible. So there are different approaches you can take on multi-tenancy. The customization, again, there are so many things you can do in customization, like custom fields, for example, gives you the capability to add fields runtime. The business rule customization is another important feature where you could create rules and have them modified and assigned by customer, by department within a customer, by service line. And the business rule gives you the complete framework to be able to change things dynamically without changing the underlying code or any particular re-engineering effort. So each of these components, if you look at, carries a lot of functionality within it, which is what makes the platform BPO much more powerful and gives the application a lot more edge. And if you look at the application now, is now left only with one job, which is just to do the functionality. The rest of the attributes are completely taken care by the platform BPO, and which means that you are going to get the complete benefits of be able to operate in an efficient way. Now, all this is good, but then is it really going to be business profitable for me to do this particular platform BPO? That's a question that typically many of us will have, because as we saw, a lot of things are happening, a lot of technology changes are happening, but unless those changes help you in some way from a business perspective, nobody is going to be doing it. So what I have done here is I have picked up few of the information which we used for one of our consulting exercise as a sample business case for a platform BPO. So some of the key data that you could see on the screen is, say, let's take a particular BPO company is doing services and they are doing customers, they're adding customers. So let's take an average implementation time of 8 weeks, which is 2 months, right? So without any platform BPO, their current model, which is the traditional model, they take 8 weeks to do an implementation. And let's take the platform BPO helps them to do it in 2 weeks, right? So the platform BPO, of course, we saw is cutting down a lot of time on customization, and hence you are able to do it faster. So the time savings in this case is 6 weeks for one implementation. And let's take some standard numbers of, like, for example, the IT resource cost per month. Let's take an example of $2,000 and the growth rate of customers being 2 customers per month. And we have assumed certain cost, running cost, license cost for the software, and then you have the software as well as the hardware maintenance cost. So we have taken some standard numbers here. So with this, if we do a simple math, what you see here in the screen is one from an effort savings. Now, how much of effort is this platform BPO going to be saving for me over a period of time? And the blue bar, as you could see, is the time you will be spending without a platform BPO, that is in a traditional model. And the red bar is something that indicates the time that will be required when you have the platform BPO in place. And the savings is what is reflected in the green bar. So it's very obvious with the data we saw in the earlier slide that the platform BPO saves an enormous amount of time, particularly over a period of years. And it could go even just in the first year, as you could see, it saves and whole amount of time, which again is going to be resulting in cost. So we'll take a quick look at the cost slide as well. And this is something that can really be a case for preparing the business case itself. So considering all the other costs we have, simply put together the calculation, you could see how much of cost savings one could get for the sample data we saw. So as simple as, if you look at even the second year, somebody is able to save as much as $500,000, which is definitely a good amount of ROI when it comes to having a platform BPO in place. So platform BPO, building a platform BPO, of course, is going to take an investment. Of course, it's going to take a bit of effort and cost. But then the key question to be asked is that effort and cost worth from a business case perspective for a given BPO? And this kind of an exercise can really help you make that decision in a much more objective manner. So with that, I'd like to conclude my part, and I'll hand it over back to Ujjwal.
Thanks, Janaki. It was a very nice one, and we got to know a lot about the challenges in the BPO platform market and how one can overcome these challenges with the building blocks you explained. Now, I'd like to have a quick poll. I'll just have one quick poll here. So, so it's the quick poll is on where does platform BPO fall in your technology roadmap? I am currently educating myself about platform BPO. I'm actively considering a platform. I'm evaluating a similar platform, or I already have a platform in place. We'll have 1 minute and would request all the attendees to please give your poll. Okay, thank you everyone for giving up your answers. So it is interesting to know that almost all of the people are currently educating about platform BPO, and hopefully this session will be much more productive for them to understand about the platform BPO offerings. Now I would like to ask Shankar to start with explaining about how this platform BPO has helped the Secova services model with the current challenges they were facing, and how it has brought business benefits for them. Over to you, Shankar.
All right, thanks, Ujjwal. Hey, everyone. This is Shankar from Secova e-Services. I head the technology for Secova. Let me quickly, okay. All right, I'm on the introducing Secova slide. To quick introduction about Secova, we are a BPO company. We provide HR benefits outsourcing services. What we primarily do is we provide custom solutions for administering employee benefits. Employee benefits, HR benefits, human resources benefits, which could include tuition reimbursements, could include medical health insurance plans, includes life insurance plans, short-term disability, long-term disability. You know, for example, employee coupons, parking tickets, things like that. I mean, it could, you know, we approximately administered about 26 to 28 benefits, which are provided by large employers to their employees. And we have quite a range of service offerings which we provide, and we've been in this business since 1989. We have an office in California, in Newport Beach, and we also have an office in New Jersey. The next slide, please. Okay. In terms of our services, what we, you know, as the gamut of benefit administrations is fairly large. We provide benefit administration, which we provide online enrollment, eligibility management services. Just to quickly, you know, I don't know how many of you are, you know, in this industry. How many are you aware of this industry? But a quick introduction about this. Every employer provides various benefits for their employees, and it is generally a nightmare, especially when you have large employees in the range of 5,000 to 20,000 employee population. It's situated, let's say, situated across the United States. You have it's a nightmare administering these benefits, specifically on health insurance, life insurance, and other medical-related benefits. The health insurance being a very complex one in the U.S. and which ranges, which varies from state to state. You have federal mandates, you have state mandates, then you have employer designated mandates, to what they provide to their employees. So it's a nightmare for the HR to manage all their benefits in house. So they seek our help. They come to us. They ask us to manage the benefits. So what we essentially do is we become the bridge between the HR of the employer, the employees, and the insurance carriers. So so we provide online enrollment services. We maintain the eligibility of all the employees. We do premium billing. We do reconciliation of the premium billing. We also offer COBRA and retiree services. In addition to that, in addition to online enrollment and ongoing eligibility management, we also provide benefits auditing services, where we actually, for example, employees have dependents, and all these dependents have, are enrolled into various health benefits. So are they eligible for the benefits? So we do a kind of an audit for all these things. I will not dive deep into all these services because we don't have too much of time. But then we have absence management, leave management. We have tuition reimbursement services. Pretty much a lot of things that offer as benefits in a human resource department. In terms of location, I just talked about it. We are a 24/7 company providing services. We have an office in Chennai, India. We have 2 offices in US. Okay. We are, although we are a BPO, we are heavily dependent on IT. So, we call our services IT-enabled services. The challenge in this industry, specifically in this industry, is we can't approach SAP or PeopleSoft or any other, standard commercially off the shelf. What I call as COTS, commercially off the shelf products are not available. So, we have we have our own products platforms that we use to manage our services and client data. Now, we are privately our data center is privately hosted. We are expected to provide a 99.99% availability for our customers, and we have the industry best practices that we follow for both disaster recovery and business continuity planning in order to meet our recovery time objective and recovery point objective SLAs for our customers. Okay, how important is a platform to our business? Vis-a-vis, if we go with a third-party software or a third-party, cloud-based software, right? We have our own platform BPO. We have the flexibility or the capability to provide low-cost services to our clients. Our customers' rules are very, very specific from one client to another client. We have from one state to another state, the rules are different. The rules for a dependent, one state accepts spouse, other state accepts spouse and domestic partners. So the rules are different from plan to plan, medical to dental to vision to life, from state to state, employer to employer, even within an employer. We have companies who's in acquisition mode, so they acquire more and more companies. So when they bring in more companies under their umbrella, the rules between divisions are different. So completely client-specific and tailored business rules is something which we have to work with. Including workflow processes are different. Communications, we send out a lot of notifications. We send out email notifications. We send out print paper notifications. And all these notifications vary from client to client, including our user interfaces, depending on the rule set and depending on the number of benefits that a client offers, our user interface itself changes. Now, the other important point is the process IP. How do we differentiate our services vis-a-vis our competitors? The platform plays a very key role defining the services that we offer, the ease at which we maintain data and share data with our employees, the criticality of securing our customer data. We also handle PHI information, so to that extent our security is very critical. So the process IP, which determines our USP in the market, is driven by the platform. We don't have any manual operations, so the entire thing is dependent on the platform. And the platform dictates the processes and the workflows. We have very stringent SLAs with our customers. We have penalty-driven, very, very comprehensive and penalty-driven SLAs. And in order to meet our SLAs, the platform plays a very key role. And of course, it's a competitive world. The cost doesn't, the cost is always we are always under margin pressure. So from that perspective, it helps us to automate more and more services and reduce, human interface. So to that extent, we are able to improve our service delivery. And the last one, this is a very key thing. We share data with all the insurance carriers. So employee comes in and makes an enrollment to our platform. The benefits that are enrolled by the employee and their dependents are shared with their insurance carriers. We have EDI connectivity. We have files being output through all kinds of support to FTP support, SFTP support, FTPS support, and things like that. So that's a key part of our services that we offer, and our platform, a flexible platform is very, very key in such situations. Okay, although we've been in business for quite some time, the platform which we had before were developed almost 15 years back. So obviously with those technologies that were developed, we had a lot of pain points. A couple of pain points which I've listed out here. We had for each of our services that we have different platforms, heterogeneous technologies. We have platforms in Microsoft.NET. We have platforms in Microsoft ASP, SQL Server. We have platforms on Access Database. We have platforms on PHP. So we have different platforms running on different technologies, and it's definitely a nightmare to manage all these technologies and different platforms. Of course, the important thing is when we have customers who sign up with couple of services. There are a lot of customers who sign up only very specific services, but there are customers who sign up more than one services. Then we had an issue of providing a uniform view of the data moving from between each of these services. Like for example, enrollment to premium billing, we had issues. We didn't have a single platform to seamlessly move between here and there. So that was one of our pain points we had. Obviously the operating costs were high because we had to manage multiple systems. Our infrastructure were fairly managing infrastructure the cost was fairly high, and of course the different applications running on different servers. Our day-to-day maintenance, patches, virus patches, and things like that. This is also a equal amount of challenges when you have multiple Etfort systems. That's when we decided about 2 years back. We decided that we have to move towards a platform which will be an integrated platform with all the latest features, Web 2.0 features, rich, very intuitive user interfaces. And so we engaged with Aspire, and we embarked on the development of this platform. It's a fairly very complex platform, primarily because it's a multi-tenant platform. The rules, every rule, including a logo to be displayed on the page, is driven by a client-specific rules. And we are, in fact, we also offer our customers to choose their own font colors and the font colors and the font text styles. So to that extent, the demand in terms of personalization is very, very key out here. So we decided to go with Microsoft.NET technologies on a service-oriented architecture model. The reason being, for scalability and for other technology-specific purposes. When you design a product, which you want to sell as an ISV, you go with Java. But when you design a platform for your internal use, we decided to go with Microsoft.NET technologies for various reasons. One being we already have those technologies in place, and so we don't have to hunt for the technology know-hows. The other driving factor was to have a rich user interface, which today the platform being rolled out has been widely appreciated by a lot of industry consultant experts and a lot of our existing clients as well. Then we also have we offer call center services, and we have IVR services where employees could come in, they could dial in and reach an IVR where they could look at their statuses. They send a document. They want to see whether the document is approved. They've sent a request and they want to see what is the status of the request, service request, and things like that. We also have online payments for premium billing or direct billing for COBRA. Employees who are in COBRA or retirees, they could come into our, both we offer IVR for payments as well as online payments, credit card payments. In the future, we are also looking at rolling out certain service deliveries in mobile. We're working on certain things, and the SOA architecture, which we have developed using Aspire platform, is a lot helpful when you actually try to plug in the future, lines of businesses, and as well as any future devices in the future. Of course, the last one, which is one of the key thing, which definitely is going to differentiate between all our competitors, is a very business user friendly business rules engine. Our application or the platform is heavily business rules driven, and as I was mentioning, every flow, every user interface is driven by business rules, including, for example, an employee comes in and employee wants to edit their personal information, including their addresses. The fields what they can look at, the fields what they can edit is again driven by business rules, and it varies from client to client. Some clients say mask the social security number. Some clients will say mask only the last, first 6 digits of social security number. Some clients say, no, we want to have social security number listed on the user interface. Things like that. So there's a lot of business rules that goes in, and the whole platform that we had, all the business rules are completely programmed, which means it requires a lot of SQL programming knowledge, and hiring a SQL programmer with a good knowledge on U.S. healthcare is, I'm sure you'll appreciate what a nightmare it will be. So so which means our learning curve of the platform was quite steep, which means our scalability in terms of onboarding clients, the more clients in a very short span of time, is a challenge. So we decided that we should move towards a platform which will allow us to configure business rules, which does not require any SQL, any programming knowledge for that matter. Once the business rules configuration is set, the business users, the domain experts, they should be able to sit across with their clients and configure the business rules on the fly. So these are the major objectives when we engage with Aspire. And so the benefits we will derive, we've actually started onboarding clients. So we are looking at, reducing the onboarding time, client onboarding time from 6 weeks. The earlier platform took about 6 weeks to less than 6 days. And it's, we are able to see that happening primarily because the architecture of the technology is completely different. Thanks to Aspire's in the platform, the platform BPO framework they have, a lot of things were, came out of the box. And, that helped us, frame the business rules for client-to-client configure. The personalization configuration was, fairly easy. It's more intuitive for our business users. Our training, in fact, our scalability has improved a lot because training a business user does not take you more than 2 weeks. All that they know, all the prerequisites to get trained is to know the domain expert, business knowledge. The platform navigation on the setting of the business rules is fairly easy. Of course, the SOA architecture, it's all web services, completely service-oriented architecture. To that extent, for me to bring in an IVR or a mobile device tomorrow and plug in anywhere into the application is fairly easy. I don't have to go back and test the plumbing, redo the plumbing or write my own business rules. It's all there. All that I have to do is query those services, those APIs, expose them as web services, and then start consuming. So the SOA architecture is is something which is a boon for us for our BPO markets, because we don't know 2 years down the line, we don't know what's going to come up in the consumer technology. And we being the benefits industry has to be in line with the consumer technology, the developments in the consumer technology. So that's pretty much it, my presentation. So we're happy to take any questions.
So thanks Shankar, for sharing your thoughts about the current platform which you are using. It was very nice to hear about that. So we have a couple of questions here. I'll first have a question for Janaki. So is multi-tenancy required for all BPOs who build platforms? I'll ask Janaki to answer this.
Sure, Visual. Like we saw during my presentation, multi-tenancy actually provides you the capability to be able to differentiate different customers and then be able to handle things differently. But however, there is a small caveat here where if the scenario is where the functionality is not going to vary too much across your customers, it's going to be a same set of processes that you're going to be dealing with, a same set of functionality, no variation, then multi-tenancy need not be required. Rather, you may probably do away with a different variation of multi-tenancy implementation. However, when most of the cases in real time, you will need the capability to be able to handle things differently for different customers, and hence multi-tenancy becomes a kind of a must-needed feature.
Okay. Thanks, Janaki, for that. Yeah, I have another question for Shankar. Did you have any challenges moving from existing customers into the new platform? How did you manage the transition? I'll request Shankar to answer this.
Okay, a good question. And a very, very key question. Obviously, these are the concerns that even our existing customers have. So what we have gone about is in fact, the platform that we have rolled out is radically different from the existing platform that we have. The processes, certain processes are slightly different. The user interface is completely different, although it's very intuitive, it's different. So what we have been doing is, we rolled out the beta version in the month of October 2011, and thereafter what we've been doing is, we've been meeting all our existing customers. We've been presenting, demoing our platform to them, involving of course, some of their customers were already involved when we did the usability exercise before we started developing the platform. So we actually, requested a couple of our customers to, nominate some of their employees to be part of the usability exercise. So rest assured that what we have built is obviously liked by most of the employees. In a couple of our customers that we sampled out. We've been meeting all our customers since October, demoing the platform, taking their feedbacks in terms of the adoption challenges. Now, what we have done is now that we have rolled out the platform, we have when we met all our customers, 3 of our customers have agreed to sign up as the first customers to be on board onto the platform, or existing customers. And in fact, one of them is not even an online customer. They use our platform. Their benefits administrators use our platform, but their employees actually enroll into their benefits using our call center services. And they were thrilled to go on to a new platform, which is completely online with good interfaces. So we have, what we have done is we have, chosen them as beta customers to be onboarded on a sequential basis. So we're not onboarding them parallelly, just to make sure that we meet all their training needs, any questions they have, and things like that. Now, of course, these customers have been with us for the last 10 years. So their data resides, the 10 years of data resides in our platform. So obviously we have to provide navigation into the current data as well as the previous data. So we had to build some integration between our existing platform to the new platform. And of course, 2 to 3 weeks of training on the platform for all their employees, 6,500 employees, is also in progress. And what we are doing is, once we have all the employees trained, we have for 2 months parallel run. When they say parallel run, we build bridges between each of the platforms. So when they post a transaction here, they'll be able to see this transaction in the older platform, where they can compare reports and things like that. So from a transition perspective, the transition is a challenge not from a data management perspective, but more from a employee adoption and training. That's what we saw as the major challenge. And it's a question of training, and the handhold support that we provide will get them through.
Thanks, Shankar, for that detailed answer. We also have another question. We mainly deal with SAP and Oracle clients. What is your experience of data extraction and client willingness to have this done? I'll ask Janaki to answer this, please.
Sure, I think this is one of the common requirement or common aspect in many of the cases, where you would probably be using some of the existing systems of the client, or you might probably have to be integrating with some of the systems at the client end. And that's where the platforms, one of the capabilities is to be able to offer seamless integration and supporting multiple technologies. So the key here is to build that integration in such a fashion that it doesn't lead you to, for example, taking care of the performance aspects, taking care of the bandwidth, taking care of synchronization between the data from the platform as well as from the client side. So it is definitely possible, and if you could ensure that enough security measures are taken care, that way the data synchronization is done in a secured fashion, then the clients would be much more open to use this thing. And the whole idea here is the value that is being taken back to the customer, which means you could operate in a much more efficient way, in which some of the cost benefits are taken back to the customers. So the customers would, as long as you meet these criteria, would be open to have this kind of a model. I would probably have Shankar also address from his perspective how he foresees this kind of a situation for Secova. Shankar, you would like to add anything to this?
Can you just
Sure.
put in context?
Sure. So basically, the scenario is that you might have to probably work with the systems at the customer's end at times, or you might have to probably integrate with the systems at the customer's end for data synchronization or data usage. So do you have such scenarios, and if so, how the clients are open to having such kind of integration between your platform versus their system?
Right. Okay. Thanks, Janaki. See, in terms of data integration, we don't do a heavy lot of data integration between our customer systems and our systems. We do a data integration, EDI integration with our customers' insurance carriers. So they have well-defined, EDI templates, and we have to, make sure that our programs, talk to the EDI, the interfaces, and share data. Of course, having said that, we do integrate with our customer platforms to provide a single sign-on capability, where most of our customers have their own intranet portal, and for their employees to remember multiple username passwords is not something which they wanted to do. So a lot of customers, what we do is we actually do a single sign-on integration from their portal into our portal. What does it mean? It means our employee signs on to their intranet with their own, enterprise user ID password. And let's say, for example, they are on the intranet portal. The intranet portal may have their own, HR policies and other things, W2 payroll and other things. They will also have a link which says, benefit, enroll into your benefits or manage your benefits. And clicking that will seamlessly log on, get them logged onto our platform. So we use SAML technology to do the SSO between each of the platforms. And some of the customers also have a single sign-on for not only for sign-on, but also log-out. So if they sign out of our platform, we send a token back to them into their system, which will sign them out of their internal portal as well. So more and more, I think in the 5 years down the line, I don't think anyone will would probably accept to have multiple username passwords. Single sign-on is definitely going to be a critical requirement for any platform-based structures, platform-based services. In addition to that, we also work with a very large insurance carrier, where we actually have insurance. It's one of the largest life insurance carrier in the U.S., and we work with them, and their customers are our customers. We actually provide not only a single sign-on for the insurance carrier customers to sign on to our platform, but we also, for example, an employee, let's take a life insurance. Employee has got $1 million life insurance policy, and the employee has expected a newborn. So he or she wants to increase their life insurance amount, and they increase it to $1.5 million. They have to submit an evidence of insurability, and this evidence of insurability submission can be done through paper, or we also provided a single sign-on feature where they could, from our system, they could do like for example, from their intranet portal, they will single sign-on into our system, and after they elect their benefits, we seamlessly transfer them into our insurance carriers EOI system, where they furnish all the information they require. They have to upload a birth certificate or proof of documents that the dependent belongs to him or her, and once they submit them, it gets it seamlessly approves the evidence, the EOI submission, and the employee gets the life insurance amount, or either the employee, the life insurance amount, the life insurance amount is approved, or the life insurance amount is declined. Either way, so it's a seamless single sign-on back into our platform. So that level of integration, yes, we have done. There were requests from a couple of our new prospects where we have to integrate with the PeopleSoft HRMS system in order to get the employees, demographic data, which again, as long as like PeopleSoft has got messaging tables and web services, so it's fairly, the advantage of this platform BPO is that it's an SOA-based architecture, and so which means, we don't have those technologies where, those old technologies where we have to go and for example, we have a program which it gives out the status of an employee. If you have to integrate with some other system, then you have to develop another program which does the same thing to expose to the web service. But in a SOA architecture, you don't have to do that. So it's fairly flexible and easily extends it to integration with other systems.
There is an add-on question to this, Shankar. How do clients feel about the fact that their data is on a shared platform? This could be financial and HR sensitive data.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Good question again. Of course, we do communicate to all our clients when we sign up that your data is still on a shared database with other customers. I mean, we do handle PHI and social security numbers. Our data center is well protected from both. It's got both physical and logical security. It's in a class 4 data center, so there's no issue in external hacker or someone accessing the data. Number one. Number two, our platform is built with a extensive and comprehensive data certification. What does it mean? It means that employees in Secova who provides these services, we could set rules as to which employee can access which client's data and what kind of data. If you say this employee can access only these set of client's data and they can only access certain data, like for example they can't access social security number, then we have those settings. Now between customer to customer, because we provide all this security, there is no way that this customer can see the other customer's data. That doesn't work because it's a completely role-based authorization. Every session or every individual who signs onto the platform has got a role, whether it's an internal to Secova or it's a benefit administrator from a client or it's an employee. So there's a role-based authorization and authentication that happens. But we have actually, if the customer is willing to pay and if it is critical that the data is completely physically separated, we do. The platform allows us to move a set of data into a different database completely, fairly easy. So to that extent, the features available. I mean, at least none of our customers have asked for it yet. But if somebody provides that, if it requires that kind of a setup, yeah, we will be able to do that.
Thanks, Shankar. Thanks a lot for giving a detailed overview about the solution offerings and answering all the detailed questions. Since we are running out of time, we do have a couple of questions, but would like to close it out here. Thanks a lot, everyone, for attending our webinar and sharing your feedback. We'll like to thank both the presenters, Janaki as well as Shankar, for spending their valuable time coming here and sharing their views on Platform BPO solutions. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.